All right, so what's up, folks? Today is August 3rd, 2024, and I'm going to do a quick one today. Of course, I always say it's going to be quick. Hopefully, it's fairly quick today. But, yeah, so one of the things that I'm doing as a part of August is to make a program every single day. So whether it's a strategy or just something I'm coding for or reworking one of my other scripts, I'll be making something every day. So let's get to it. This is just going to be kind of a code for a retest of a low, and I don't know if it makes much sense. I don't know if it's profitable. I don't know. So we're just going to code for it. We're going to code for it as it appears, as the chart appeared from August the 2nd, and then maybe it's valid for some of the other days. But let's see. All right. So here's the chart. That's not the one that we saw it on. The one that we saw it on for, I guess, August 2nd is this area, right? So it did essentially the same thing. We got a, this is what we're looking for here. All right, so this is what we're looking for. Hang on. Yeah, all right. This is what we're looking for here. We're looking for this area here, came back to it, and then from there, that's the area that we want to consider to be for the retest. Okay, so get the same thing. This one isn't valid, but these two are. The price didn't take off without first coming back and saying hello to this area. So that's what we're looking for. All right, let me plug up my devices and then we'll get started. Bam! All right. And probably what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on a little bit of music. You guys can follow along that, know a little bit about EasyLanguage, know a little bit about programming. If you have any questions or anything like that, then, if you're on the live, you can certainly ask them of me and or put them in the comments if you would like to hear a little bit of the work through the problem solving. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of put it on mute and put on my music and get back to you. Hey, Danny. Man, I'm just kind of talking to myself. Just trying to figure out this this vector and these loops. So essentially, what I got is I'm looking for the retest of the lows. So I'm looking for this swing high to be of level or of strength 2, or whatever you put for the strength to be. So once we get the 2 swing highs to be consecutive, then we want to see if they're within a certain margin of each other, and if they're within 1% or whatever the margin is to say that they are relatively equal highs, then that's when we want to store that number to our vector. Now what I'm trying to solve now is when to invalidate that, right? So like here, yes, we got close equal highs here, but it dipped down immediately. So once this dips down so far below the 9-period moving average, then we want to go ahead and at some point we need to erase this one and say that this isn't valid, because we really want to see that the price came down and then moved up fairly aggressively over top of these equal highs. So if the price is significantly below these equal highs, then we're going to say that it's not valid. So that's what I was trying to figure out here. I was trying to figure, typically what I'll use is I'll use a for loop, and I'll just go through the vector, clearing out whatever I need to clear out. But the problem here is with the vector, when you clear something out, and this is the first time I've run into this, because I think typically I'm just using like a pop back, so I'm just erasing the last thing on the vector. However I do it, it works, right? But it's not working now, because what it's doing is it's erasing one of the values within the vector, and so that changes the count of the vector. But that count can't be, unless I'm missing something, that count can't be adjusted on the fly, because it was already established right here what the count was going to be. I imagine the only other thing I could do was probably say, all right, well, go ahead and if you find this, then erase it and then return. Or if you find this, erase it, loop back into the method until you don't find any issue or something. So I decided to use a repeat loop, and I think this will work. So yeah, let me know if you have any other questions though. Oh, and then what I did here was I use a count delay. So I'm just essentially saying that after we did find equal highs right here. Now we're going to delay deleting anything until we get at least 4 bars. And once we get 4 bars, then we can start looking to potentially delete anything. And it shouldn't, like I said, when we delete here, these plots have already shown up, so these plots won't then disappear. But the v-valid vector should delete the ones that are not currently in there. So we shouldn't have a huge number of values in the v-valid vector. Let's just kind of see what we have. If the last bar on chart ex, then print v-valid count. Count. On chart. That shouldn't be an issue there. Count delay equals 4 and v-valid count is greater than 1. And filter level, v-valid, v-valid, v-high, v-valid. Alright. I should be able to print that. Unless it's gotta be to string. Okay, what do I do? Oh, count delay. Count delay was 4 and v-valid is greater than 1, then filter. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see how many is in the print log. All right, so 1. So by the time we get to the end of the chart, which I think we kind of got, yeah, by the time we get to the end of the chart, it's pretty much deleted the rest of the vectors, the rest of the values in the vector. But I would think that this one should still be there. So this should be at least, everything else is, looks like the chart is below everything. So this value should be there. I don't know. Let's get on to the plot. See what it comes up with. All right, hang tight. I'll be right back. Let me see if I can give this dog a treat. All right. Woof, woof. Okay, so I feel like we should have more than one value in the vector, right? So the vector is containing the values of all the equal highs, and then the equal highs have been put into a v-valid vector so that we can filter the ones that have been that are no longer valid. So I'm gonna go ahead and try here. I'm gonna say if the price comes back down to one of these areas, to put a plot on it. So to do that, so we're not confused with the either of these two plots, let's go ahead and make those disappear. Oh yeah, plot. Just leave that one out, leave this one out. Okay, so now we'll just say if low say between, we're going to say if the low is between I think we're going to need another method. Between, do we have a check highs, check level. I think I already have a check level. No, I don't have a check level. If low is between check level and I think it's check level on the low side. Minus, we'll say check level minus, we'll say like one point, and check level plus 1. All right, now we need to check level. Of course, we can only check level. Well, let's make the check level first. Something, so it won't be a method void, it'll be a method, we're going to return double, which should be the price level, method double, and we need the variable of integer since we're going to go through the loop, or go through the vector. I hope we can do it this way. Okay, so we're going to check the level. That almost needs to be 2 loops, because, well, if we find it to be true, then we'll just go ahead and return. So well, we'll return the level. Okay. All right. So we've got the X, we've got the index. We need to use a for statement. For X equals 0 to, I got to do the vvalid dot count minus 1. All right, now we want to check that level. So I feel like we're already doing 2 loops. If yeah, we don't need this one, or we need to take this one up there, and then it'll just return a true or false. If between low and whatever this level is, which will be vvalid dot, or vvalid at the index as type integer, as type double. If the low is between that, yeah, that's what it is. As type double plus 1. So if the low is between whatever's in the vvalid vector minus 1 point plus 1 point, so a 2-point range, then I guess we could just go ahead and plot from here. Because I could plot plot 3 will we'll plot low. Okay, that'll work. You just go through all the values in the vector, and then it'll plot if it's valid, and then it'll exit out of the vector. But now we only need to be going into check level, and so we're not going to return anything. So this will be method void. We only need to be going into check level if we have something in the vvalid index. So if vvalid.count is greater than 0, then check level. All right, I think that's it. What do we got? Oh, yeah, I ran into this one time before, so you can't. So this right here, between is a function that I created, right? So if you hit definition of function, it doesn't come up with anything. If you right click it and you go to open the function, and it does come up with something. This is a user created function. This is something I created. I don't know if it's that you can't use a user created function in a method, or any function in a method. However, it won't let you do this. So I need to calculate this without it being inside a function. So I'm just going to leave it there because that's essentially what I wanted to say. I'm just going to write out a different way. So if low is less than vvalid of x, double plus 1 on the higher side, and low is greater than vvalid of x as type double minus 1 on the low side, then plot 3 low. All right. Oh. Okay, there we go. All right. Make this a cross. Don't connect the lines. Okay. So I think it worked. Some of the times when you start doing these, when you start making these programs, you get so into it, you get so many loops and methods and vectors, it can start to get confusing, and then you really almost don't even know where you're at. So it's definitely worked here, but it should have worked here too. So that's what I need to figure out, how come this one didn't fire off. Because we should have got the, this right here was showing that it was valid because it was similar, at least similar enough, equal highs, right? Based on the, before I go messing with this, I wonder if it did anything on the rest of the chart. Oh yeah, we got some bad areas here too now. But again, I was just programming it, and I think I said that at the very beginning. I was programming it based on what I saw that was applicable for August the 2nd. So if it needs to have other filters and that kind of thing, yes, that would make sense. But it's like this one and probably this one are the components for that. And then it kept firing off here and here. Yeah, so I think if the low is less than, the low is significantly less than that range, I think we need to go ahead and remove it from the vector as well. Because if it breaks completely through it, then it invalidates that as being a level. So I don't know if we do that here or if we do that in another place. When we're filtering, I guess we can do it with the filter. Or an additional repeat beginning. Yeah, I think it's got to be an additional one. Let's just say something like repeat begin if low is less than Well, but I don't filter level. Where am I doing filter level at? I'm doing filter level if, yeah, so I'm pretty much doing filter level on every bar as long as it's after the fourth bar after we found to have equal highs, so it'll be fine here. So if the low is less than, we're going to say if it's less than 1 point below, because we said that our range was going to be a point above and a point below, a 2-point range. So we're going to say that if the low of the bar is less than a point below the either one of the indexes, either one of the values, and we're going to delete it. Yeah, I think that's okay. I just want to make sure that it's not deleting other values that are applicable. But again, since we're looking for a retest of a retest to a low of a accumulation zone, if it gets below it, then it's not applicable. All right, so we're going to say if the low is less than v valid of x as type double, then as type double minus 1, then v valid dot erase whatever is at that index. Okay, so I think we're gonna need to do something essentially like we did up here with the repeat statement, so we can erase it, or else we need to go on to the next index and check that one until we get to the end. So then that until part, it says until x is greater than or equal to v valid dot count. Yes? Yes. No. No. All right. What did we do? What did we do? All right. So repeat. We gotta. So here we started x off at 0, and then when we got down to here, x became whatever it is, and then when we came down into here, we just continue x being whatever it is up here. So we need to reset x equal to 0. You gotta get your indexes right. You gotta get your indexes right. Oh, what? Be valid. Well, that was a problem. So now, if that's the only problem or not, we gotta see. But that was a problem for sure. So x is back equal to 0. Then we're gonna repeat begin if low is less than v valid of x. You know what? Unfortunately, I think because you come into here, filter level, you're coming into here having already checked that the count is greater than 1. However, when you come into here, it was greater than 1. You may have deleted something, and now it's now you don't have anything in the vector, and so that would affect what happens down here. So I think down here we need to make sure that we still have a count greater than 0. So if v valid dot count is greater than 0, then we're going to do repeat if low is less than v valid of x as type double minus 1, then v valid dot erase x. Erase. Okay. And then end. I'm going to keep doing that until x is greater than or equal to v valid dot count. If it's not lower, then we're just going to go into the next one, which would be next index. Again, we're going to wait a minute. Until x is equal to v valid dot count. I think this needs to be minus 1. because the indexes start at 0. And so even though you may have 5 elements, or you may have 5 objects, numbers, you got 5, but you have up to the 4th index. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So X needs to be -1, I do believe, and it really needs to be -1 up here too. I could be wrong. I often am. Not wrong. Not wrong this time. Okay. And it's that kind of stuff though that will leave you for hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong with your script. Getting tongue-tied. All right, so this right here, though, once we went below it, it didn't invalidate this area, you see, because it said still when you came back to it, go ahead and take it again. So here, yeah, that's good the first time, but here, are we not less than 1%? That's 4.68, but what's the percentage? Well, no, I didn't do percent. I did points. So that should have erased this level, because this is points. This is from 61 down to whatever. Unless I'm just not calling it again, because filter level is where I call it at. So count delay. Oh, well, I'm only calling it on the 4th bar after we found equal highs, right? So we found equal highs. So here's a high, here's a high. Now this high wasn't actually defined until we got to how many, what length? The length of 2. So you got 1, 2 after is where this was defined at. So now we're looking at our count delay of being 4. So this, once we find this equal high, this becomes 0. This becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. So on this 4th bar is where we're filtering out our levels again. So we're not filtering it out on every bar. So, but we can. Do we want to? That's the question. I think we almost have to. Or at least anytime the chart is moving below the 9-period moving average, and we are starting to move into a bearish, we're moving in a bearish direction. I think anytime we're under the 9-period moving average is probably a good time to be checking the filter. So let's do that. Let's count delay is equal to 4, invalid. That count is greater than 1, then filter level. The only problem is on certain areas, once we get, if you're erasing information too quickly, like here, right? So you get these double highs or whatever. If you do tend to dip back down one more time toward that low and make a higher low even, right? Just like this bar, right? So this low is less than the 9-period moving average. But if you had it come down one more time and then go up, depending on how you define this, you may actually end up erasing this, these equal highs. So that's why I put a count delay on it, so to give it some time. But at least here we could say as long as the open is not under the 9-period moving average, then we're good to go. So, and then this open did get under the 9-period moving average. So I think if we use that criteria, where the open is under the 9-period moving average, and then we want to use that to filter out if the low is less than 1 point below the equal highs, then that might take it out right away. So, or you could say if you have more than one open below the 9-period moving average, then check, right? And that's one of the things that, you know, I've definitely learned throughout trading over the years is, and by no means am I a professional day trader or anything like that. But one thing I've learned is that one bar is not a trend. Now that you can take to the bank. One bar is not a trend. One bar may start a trend or start momentum, but one bar is not a trend. I mean, but in like I was reading Al Brooks' book. I got it over here somewhere. He's like, one bar is a trend. And I guess technically it is because it has a beginning and an end. But for all intents and purposes, one bar is not a trend that you can follow. How about that? Because once this bar has happened, it's done, right? So one bar is not a trend that you can follow. One bar is a trend. Especially when you look fractally, or if you look within on a lower time frame. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're going to say, so we can go ahead and filter here, but then we're also going to filter if you have more than one close, more than one open below, or we could do close below the 9-period moving average. Then we're going to filter level again. But when we filter the level again, we do have to make sure that we have values in the v-valid vector. So let's say if, and this you can use something called count if, which you'll have a test, and then you can go back a length, and then you can say, all right, well, how many, it's true how many times over the length of bars. So count if, so close is less than 9-period moving average. That's the test. Over, we'll just say the last, well, we'll just say, because it'll just keep track of, we'll check this 2 bars, we'll check this 2 bars, last 2 bars, last 2 bars. So we'll just say over the last 2 bars, I feel like I need one more, but over the last 2 bars, how many times was the close under the 9-period moving average? If it's equal to 2, so over the last 2 bars, if you had the last 2 equal to it, and the valid dot count is greater than 0, then filter level. Boom. All right, that worked. Right, so now we have this this high here. We're going to call them fairly equal highs, and it didn't get canceled out as of yet. Price moved over it, retraced back down to it. When it came back down to that level, it was a time to enter. And then once it moved below it, a significant amount below it here, we went ahead and erased that from the vector. Just curious if we still have those other, I mean, there's just some from after hours. I mean, they still work though. I mean, you know, for scalping purposes, came down to it. And not only that, but you got high volume right here. And then, you know, nice little move up. But again, you're under the 200-period moving average, so what do you expect? You expect for it to be bearish or bullish? It's probably going to be bearish. It's under the 200-period moving average. All right. Moving on over. Okay, so, I mean, same, you know. I guess this was probably a high. This was probably the high. This was the equal high coming over here. It came down, touched within that range, moved up. You know, yes, you have some overhead price action up here, so it wasn't enough to push overhead, but yeah, I'm surprised that this one didn't take it out. What's that distance? That distance is okay. So 1.14. I mean, it, whatever margin of error we're talking about here, maybe it's, you know, technically 0.98 or something like that. So that didn't erase this this line here, that price level. Okay, well. And we lost that one. We kept that one, which is good. We kept this guy, this price level. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. The wife's home. Here I am coding. All right, so, but we lost this level. Why did we lose this level? We had two opens below the 9, and low. We had two opens below the 9, and the count was greater than 0. Then we went to filter level, and when we went to filter level, now we're saying if the low is less than. Oh, that's why. Well, this must have this long bar here. I bet you this was such high volatility it doesn't look too crazy, but that's a lot. That's 30 points, right? So here is our level here. It's going to be one of these, and so from one of these levels down to the bottom down here is 2.65. Even if you went from at that same level to this one here, it's 1.5. So it's greater than 1, and so it's less than or it's more of a loss than 1 point. So it went ahead and erased this value, which I mean, I guess is okay. That's a lot of volatility there. And so what you would do, the next thing that you would do is you would say, hey, depending on the amount of volatility, depending on the amount of range, I want to adjust this value of 1, right? And so you could do that with a case switch, something that I don't do a whole lot with, but what is it? It's like you're going to switch that. This is the range 7, so this is a 7-period moving average of the range. I'm going to switch that, and so I don't know if you need to begin. I don't know if you need to begin for case switch or not. Like I said, I don't do much with case switch, but for the case of, so essentially you would say if the average range of 7 bars is between, say, a normal moving average range is 1 bar. So you would say for the case of range 7 being between 0.75 to 1.25, that you would say that you have a variable, and the variable would be margin. No, that's already one. We'll just go. I just put margin T, margin threshold. I don't have a lot of creativity, guys. I really don't. So margin T will be equal to 1, right? So that's the one that we had earlier. That's the one that we had earlier in the chart where we're looking for a margin of 1 to the bottom side and 1 to the plus side. And so then you change this to margin T, and then you change this to margin T. Make sure that you have declared it. Margin T 0 starters, and then this is margin T, and then so for the case 2, case where the volatility gets really high, and say the range is I don't know, around 2.5 points, you say the case from 1.26 to 3, margin T you give a little bit more range. So you say that you go to as much as 2 points. Now this is going to completely throw off the program. I mean, you got to understand that. But and then the default case, you could say that margin T equals 1.5. I don't know. All right, I think that's it. Default. You don't need case there. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, so we got it. All right, so we got those back. And again, that was just merely changing, having a system, a method, a program that allows for you to change some of your variables based on, what's actively happening on the chart. So, again, I'm not saying it's the best thing to do, but it's a thing you can do. All right. I don't know if I'm gonna leave this on my chart to trade with or to use as a signal or not. But if you guys want it, obviously it's here. Some of these things, like I said, some of these things are functions that I've created, so you probably need to know what they actually mean. But if you want, I can put it in the Discord, and you can download it from there. Just let me know in the comments, or let me know next time you see me. So I'm going to, which one did we plot at? The one that we plotted at. Plotted on check level. So just so we're not getting a lot of stuff over the after hours and everything like that, we're going to say if Eric's market and be valid. Okay, so that way we're just not getting all of the after hours stuff as well. Oh, this right here was actually after hours. This was in the morning. So we did all that hard work to keep it in there, and it's not there anyway. All right, guys, that's it. If you have any questions, you got like 5 seconds, and there's a 5-second delay. So you do the math. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.